Well, Marcy, I'm so excited that you're here on the podcast. I really can't remember if I stalked you, which seems like you are absolutely a person I would have been like desperately wanting to talk to either on Twitter or Instagram, or if you reached out to us. But however it happened, I'm really glad you're here.
It's happening.
I know, like, a lot of emails later.
Yeah, it's happening. Yeah, I'm not sure
Scheduling is
either.
brutal.
Yeah, the brain fog is real today. I'm all over the place, so I don't remember either, but
Okay, we're going to prop
it's
each other up
happening.
because the two of us are definitely like in the fog.
Yeah.
But I really, you're unusual for me to interview because you do so much physically. And
Yeah.
I really wanted to talk to you about that. So, like, if we could kind of like just talk about what it is that you have and then move on from there. Because, like, you as a physical therapist, I'm going to try really hard to not make this an intake evaluation and ask you a ton of person, like, how do I do this? I will try really hard
Yeah.
to keep this general, but I'm really fascinated on how that works with you being on both sides of this.
Yeah. It's I mean, that's kind of why now I really want to get into research and advocacy as much as I can, because I've really realized that, like, tapping into this chronic illness community, the only reason I'm thriving the way I'm thriving is because I'm a physical therapist. If I didn't know anything, I would be screwed. Not to say that I'm not screwed now, obviously, like, there's still shit days, but as far as I've come is for myself, is understanding, like, okay, the times when I couldn't remember whether or not I turned the stove off, okay, I need to check this out. This is not okay. And like having, neurologists laugh in your face, like, oh, you're like 28, you don't have dementia or anything. Like, no, listen, sir, like, I understand that this is not normal. I need to look into this. So that level of getting through these appointments, not to say that every appointment I'm like a fucking rock star. It is like tons of anxiety in every interaction, as you probably know.
Do you get that same, like, I get what I call like white coat anxiety. Like, I see the white coat and the stethoscope and like almost all of my internal functions just shut down. And I just start like just nodding and not remembering what I wanted to say.
And honestly, just opening the door to the clinic and seeing those like stupid beige whatever pattern chairs and just walking up with ID and insurance card, like, oh god damn it, here we go again.
I get like
Like,
panic
it's
attacks
from the
if I'm
beginning.
getting, yeah, like even when like they're like, okay, we have your test results, like I instantly break out into a cold sweat of like, okay, here we go, I'm the healthiest sick person ever.
Yeah, and my blood pressure will track high, and they're like, "Oh, well, this is okay," and I'm like, "No, I know why. I know why we're high.
I'm
I know."
scared of you. That's why
Yeah,
I'm running
yeah,
high right now.
yeah.
And did you get a diagnosis or are you still in the middle of the process?
Overarching diagnosis? No, not really. I mean, I have my maybes and my probablys, but nobody's ever sat me down and was like, you know what? It's definitely this. I've had a lot of maybes. To me, it is honestly absolutely mind-blowing that no one has ever looked at me and said, man, you definitely have hypermobility EDS. I don't know how. I don't know how. I don't know how. If you look at my body and the way my joints go where they don't need to go, it's like a given. Whatever. So that's never been discussed. But as far as the maybes go, maybe sarcoidosis, maybe dermatomyositis, maybe. They're not sure. Nobody knows. I have pretty much something wrong in every system in some way, shape, or form. And when I see a true specialist, with the exception of neurology, neurology has been just shit for me. But with the exception of neurology, I'll go through the test and they'll be like, man, this is weird. Okay, you know what? I think it's this super rare disease. I bet it is. And they'll test for it and then it's normal. And they're just like, I'm sorry. Like,
It's amazing
so
how fast they lose interest when their hypothesis is wrong.
yeah. So, I've done that for a couple of years, just ramp up on that. And, and I used to really cling on to like, oh, okay, someone's going to figure it out. But after like a straight year of that, I'm like, okay, well, no one is. And I did get all the way up to genetics. And I probably don't have like, I'm going to die in 2 years type of disorder. So, that, okay. I have something lifelong that I'm dealing with, but maybe it's not fatal. So I kind of let go of chasing that answer. So if I find out when things happen, things pop up, of course I'm going to go get it checked out. But as far as waking up and just telling myself I'm officially undiagnosed and I don't really give a shit, I'm okay with that.
I can understand that. I
Yeah.
also know the other side of it is I was undiagnosed for 30 years, and there is a aspect of a diagnosis that gives you a community.
Yeah. That's definitely true. And there's the aspect where I think the problem was is that I was hoping that they would give me an answer and it would be, you have A, the treatment is B, you know? I was hoping for the clean cut, we know what to do, we know what it is. And once I wasn't getting that, I was like, all right, the day that somebody figures this out, like they're not gonna know what to do probably anyway. So that's
You're not wrong. I mean, the Doctor House
yeah.
mythology has done more fuck ups for us emotionally in our mental health and disability of like, there's something wrong. Here's the solution. Here's the thing you can do that will even just make it better, not necessarily cure it. But like with Ehlers-Danlos, it's like you get the diagnosis and it's like, and good luck.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Yeah,
nothing we could do. We can try to manage your pain, but and good
pretty
luck.
much. Pretty much. Wish you the best. Drink some
Yeah.
water. Try swimming. I don't know.
Decrease your stress is my favorite.
Oh,
Like,
oh,
oh, that's like right up there with hysteria. Like that is like the wandering womb of the 20th century. Like, obviously, you are too stressed as a, you know, a person in this world with like responsibilities. So, yeah, that was
yeah,
always my favorite.
that's definitely a big one. So as the only thing that I have really written down are symptoms. There's no overarching um diagnosis per se. And it's interesting because even some of those things people don't agree on. Like I've had the biopsies to test for neuropathy. They check it out and they decide whether or not your nerves are like weird, fucky, or like deficient, not enough of them. And then, you know, of the 3 spots, they're like, oh yeah, one of these is weird. So I got tacked on, all right, you have small fiber neuropathy. I'm like, okay,
Good to know.
thanks.
Yeah.
Good to know. And then I see the next guy and he's like, I don't know, because the results are only for this part and really it should be all of them. I'm not sure if that's even real. I'm like, okay, thanks. You still didn't help me with anything.
You're also you're in a non marijuana state, right? Which like marijuana is the only thing that's ever worked on my neuropathy.
Oh, here's the thing. Thank you, coronavirus, because that's what I used my stimulus check on. We have medical marijuana, but it's very, it's just dumb. So if you want to get a card, you find yourself a quote unquote marijuana doctor, and you pay them cash, $250 for 2 visits, and then they decide what they can write down from the approved conditions. You get your card, then you pay the state $75. And then you go to the dispensary and then pay them. So, you know, you get a vape pen and the cartridge maybe is $100. It'll last you like a month, something like that. So it was never something that I looked into until I got that stimulus check because of that cost.
It's such a classist piece
Yeah.
of bullshit and racist. I mean, we
Yeah.
can absolutely go with the racist level of how marijuana has
Oh, man.
gone from a way to keep Black and brown people in prison to now like some sort of boutique business for mostly white people here in California, and how we
Yeah.
keep everyone economically away from something that could actually be helpful.
It's insane. Can you imagine how many tax dollars this could generate? Like, it's stupid. For what? For what reason? There is none. So I mean, I experimented. It took me, I could have taken more, so I guess I'm lucky. It took me 3 tries. So, you know, I wasted about
3 tries to get a license or 3 tries to
no,
get the
three
right
tries to
dosage?
find the right strain and dosage
Okay.
form.
That's hard.
Yeah.
It's so confusing now. Like when my
So
parents were smoking pot in the 70s, it was like, here, it's green, smoke this. And now it's like all these different like
yeah, so that's the
cannabinoids
part
and
I really wasn't prepared for that. I understood the
you know,
cost and I was like, all right, well, I don't have any money, never mind. So I got into it. I got the money and then and then I'm like thinking that this guy's gonna, you know, if you get gabapentin, they're like, all right, 200 milligrams, you're gonna take it 4 times. You know, it's very specific. The
yeah.
marijuana prescription was one vape, one inhalation method, and a tincture when you need it. I was like, what?
Excuse me, how does
Sir?
this go?
Oh man, it's a lot. It's a lot.
I'm really lucky that where I'm at, there are like a billion dispensaries and they take it very scientifically and seriously. So I came in with like no drug experience, and
Not at
some
all.
very nice person like sat down. This is what this is. This is what this is. With nerve pain, we recommend topical. Here's all of our topicals. And it was like, it was amazing. Like it was a full education.
Yeah, and that's where community came in for me, because I just posted a couple stories like, hey, help. And luckily, some people responded um, that had similar issues. So if I didn't have anyone like that going into the dispensary COVID times, they're not really about that.
And
Yes,
you don't have delivery there?
yeah, we have delivery, yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, thank God. But as far as like just talking on the phone and asking questions and whatever, like it's not really that kind of vibe right now. It's like, get your shit, get out.
Oh,
No, don't wait in the
wow.
waiting room. We're like, it's not very it's not really set up for that. It's not that they're rushing you out of it, but
Can I recommend two things for you?
yeah, go for it.
There's two apps. One's called Weed Maps, and the other one's called Leafly.
Yep,
Okay,
Leafly got me
yeah.
through it.
So
Leafly
much
got me
education
through it.
right there. Like it tells you exactly
Yes.
what each thing is
Leafly got
for.
me
You
all the
can,
way
yeah,
through it.
that's
Yeah.
super helpful. I was like, this is exactly what an app should be like. The UI is awesome.
Yeah, the strains are there, the different
Yeah.
methods, because there's a million different, there's vapes and there's resins and waxes and powder and flour. I was like, whoa. There's a lot. So yeah, honestly, I'm so much better with it because now I actually sleep.
Yeah.
And real rest changes your life. So now I actually sleep, and I do have a topical for my feet that I put on. So I'm doing pretty good with that. I
I
don't know
just wish
what your
everyone could have
original
like
answer was, but original question was, but
I won't be able to do that. I'm
yeah.
sorry. Exacts are
Period.
out of my purview today.
Yeah.
It's been a brutal weekend, and I'm just gonna smile and nod.
Yep. That sounds good to me.
So, how did you get through physical therapy school and training? That is so physically intensive, and if you have bones that slip, I'm just trying to figure out how you do the manipulations. And
Well, here's the thing is that I was fine. I've always been a kid that always sprained their ankle. I was always like a clumsy kid, but on the other end, my family and like my genetics is like extremely athletic. Like my mom used to play on the volleyball team for her country, like stuff like that. So,
wow.
yeah. So, I played sports. I would play soccer and I would be in pain from head to toe, and nobody would help me. They'd just be like, oh, you're all right. Because, I was still running, I was still playing. I was just a kid. I don't know any better. So if people tell me I'm in pain, that's fine. I'm going to believe them. And so that was really my only problem, just clumsiness, sprains all the time, pain. But then I got around 2015, which is a year after I finished school. And at that point, the stress was a little higher. I had 3 jobs, none of which I was happy with. And then that's when all of a sudden one day I woke up and I had PVCs, like heart racing, and I felt them. I still have them. I don't feel them anymore. But that's where it all started. And since then, things started unfolding. Then neuropathy, and then reflux. And then I noticed that my hands, like I can't even tie my shoes. And then things just started kind of unraveling. And so by that time, I'm already a full-fledged physical therapist, pretty much understanding that something is up. And then taking kind of my own steps to work on fixing all of those things. So if that happened to me before, honestly, I don't know if I would have made it through school.
So how did you?
Probably not.
And one of the biggest things with hypermobility is like, if I do this, I will hurt myself. If I don't do this, I lose muscle strength and I will hurt myself. How do you walk that line?
I mean, that a lot of that comes from the physical therapy background, because I think a lot of people don't really understand until you need it and you go through it what a physical therapist means. But honestly, we are movement experts. We are experts in movement, and we are like private investigators for pain. Like that's what we are. So for me, I can understand, okay, this hurts. All right, yesterday I did what and what. I didn't use that muscle. Okay, this is the condition. It's not what I did. you know, I could go through each of those things and just kind of analyze it. Okay, I tried this yesterday. When's the last time I tried that? At what weight? All right, that weight was too much. Next time I'll do this and this and this instead. And that's obviously there's room for error and there's a lot of trial there, but that's all from that rehab background. If it wasn't for that, I'd be a wreck.
Do you have something that you do like as like that was the big fear? I used to love weightlifting. I'd go to the gym, but the last time I did that like 5 years ago, I dislocated my shoulder in the middle of the gym. Do you have like some way that you like handle things like that when you're out in public, or if you're like working on a patient and it's like, oops, there went my arm?
Oh man. Ooh, the big actually, so when I was in school, now you just reminded me. When I was in school, that happened to me a few times when we were learning joints and tests and whatever. And there are certain tests where a normal person, their joint would stop and mine did not. So that's probably the biggest like sweat inducing memory I have of that, is the test where you're trying to see if somebody tore something in their shoulder. And so you lift their shoulder up and you put like a pressure down, and then you're in a regular person's shoulder, just do like a clunk or something, and they'd be like, all right, this isn't normal. They'd push on my arm and it wouldn't come back. And it got to the point where the professor was like, wait, hold on a second, let me see what's going on here. And he was like, all right, you can't do this anymore. You can't. Okay, nobody practice on her. Yeah, that's probably the biggest moment that I've had. Gosh. But otherwise, training, the biggest thing I have to worry about is my feet. My feet are a hot mess. So as far as going overhead and my shoulders, I'm okay. My wrists, sometimes. Hot mess with the wrist. And then the other biggest thing is my feet. They're little flimsy things.
So many little bones with not enough ligaments to hold them all where they should be.
They're flimsy. Like I put up my shutters this other weekend when we thought we had a hurricane, and I didn't wear. I made the mistake. I wasn't doing anything strenuous, but it's new. So new for me is always approach with caution, right? I did not approach with caution. I wore soft, flimsy shoes, and I walked around and around my house, grass, rocks, stepping up, stepping down. The next week, my entire foot was in a spasm, swollen. Done.
So what do you do for that? Like if you still have clients to see, how do you handle your own chronic illness and disability with what you have to do?
Well, that's the thing, is that I'm at the place now where I work for myself totally. So I set myself up with the expectation that every day I'm not going to be with it. So I don't have a typical schedule at all. I don't have a 9-to-5 schedule, not at all. So because of COVID, a lot of my kids I'm seeing telehealth. So that's already a lot less physical demands there. But regular times, I basically scheduled myself spread out part-time hours. And then I have 2 assistants under me when it comes to the kids. And I'll just let them know, hey, I need you. Can you help me with this? Do a little extra today. I'm not coming in. So it's all very flexible. And there's nobody telling me that I have to produce a certain amount of, productivity rates, or anyone telling me anything like that. I can wake up and say, all right, this is a shitty week. This is what we're going to do. I'm going to tweak this. I'm going to tweak that. I'm going to cancel this guy. I'll move this guy back. It's a lot of freedom there.
I found that a lot of us with chronic illness and disability discovered it like in 20s, or like an age where we were like trying to figure out what we were going to be when we grew up. Almost all of us ended up like working for ourselves because of this. Like the world was not set up. The world is so ableist that it's almost impossible to work for a company or someone else.
There's no way. When I used to work, and it's not that, I mean, it's hard to find the right setting, the right boss, blah, 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 blah. But even in the perfect world of a setting that I like the job and I wake up, I look forward to going, physically, it was not going to work out. It's a very physical job. I was working with spinal cord injury patients, helping them walk. That's a lot. I got to lift these people up. And so I was getting to the tail end of that before I quit, and just feeling it, the dizziness, the pain, the this, and I'm like, I'm gonna hurt somebody. This isn't gonna work out. And that's kind of when I started realizing, okay, maybe we need to think this through. And also that turns into just even more fatigue, because rest is already a problem. And so once I fell asleep at the wheel a few times, I'm like, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That's another wake-up call. So I had a couple of wake-up calls, and luckily I've never actually been in a position where I hurt myself or hurt others. But if I was somebody that didn't pay attention to those things and just kept pushing anyway, that's where it was going to go. For sure.
It's so hard to see those warning signs sometimes.
Yeah.
It's like what we need our lives to be is not necessarily what we want them to be or what they should be.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of denial for sure. And I mean, we can't help it. That's how our world was built. So when you see yourself not fitting into how the world was built, like, what are you going to do? You're going to meet that with happiness? You're going to be like, hooray, I'm different. Like, no.
Oddly, no, not so much.
Not how that works out. Not like the movies. Not quite.
No, there was no like beautiful violin swelling when I had to like quit my job and leave my business because of my disability. There was no like, you know, inspiration porn music going in the background.
Oh, no, not at all. And then you can do everything right and things will still go wrong is the other part of this chronic illness situation. So it has to be flexible. If you work for somebody, they have to understand what you need and what you can and when you just cannot. And unfortunately, especially for my job, that doesn't exist. That's not real. Not at all.
And even with nice bosses or a nice company, the buildings themselves or if you have to travel for work or if you have to go to people's houses or parks, they're not always accessible to canes and wheelchairs. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's like now I'm like I say, I have different seasons. So my latest season is now I was always somewhat heat intolerant, but now it's very specific to like that UV index, like photosensitivity
and where you live?
Type of thing. Miami.
Oh.
So it used to just be, all right, I don't stay outside too much, I'm fine. Now it's like if the sun hits me, it is like I am a vampire and I am drained.
It's too bad it doesn't come with the sparkle. Like,
no,
yeah, the sun and sparkle. Yeah,
no.
I totally
I don't
feel
have
the
a
vampire.
gleam of hazel in my eyes. No.
Oh gosh, yeah. I watched this only to play a drinking game. That was the only reason I watched Twilight at all.
I watched it. I actually watched this YouTube channel called The Cosmonauts, and they kind of like sarcastically watch movies sometimes.
Oh, that sounds fun.
That's how I saw it. It was good.
We have a movie theater here in the town I'm at, but they can't do movies because we're COVID. So what they do is they do online. It's called the Saturday Night Riff Off, and they show like the worst of the worst B movies, and everyone just snarks on the side. It's like our own little MST3K.
Oh, that's good.
It's my favorite Saturday night activity.
Oh, tell them to play The Room. I just watched the best,
The Room,
worst movie of all time. The Room.
That's not the new one, right? The Emma Donoghue book.
No.
Okay.
No, unrelated. It's like 2013.
Okay, yeah, the last one we just watched, I think it was called The Blood Beast, and it's from the 70s, and it was like, the blood beast looked like a pug that turned into a gremlin. I digress, but oh my God, I was dying. We were howling. I have a 13-year-old, so it's, and a 19-year-old who doesn't live here right now, but yeah, it's just a family activity is to watch like the worst B movies and like be snarky, sarcastic brats.
I could get into
super fun.
If you told me this a week ago, I'd be like, I don't know. But now that I just did it, I watched The Room. I had a great time. It was hilarious.
Friend me on Facebook. I will invite you. We have people from like, even though it's like our theater here in our city, like people from all over the country like come in and like do it with us. Cool. So it's super neat.
That is pretty cool. Not gonna lie.
Okay, so you with chronic illness, do you find that you're able to motivate your clients in a different way than like physical therapists you've observed who don't have chronic illness? Like, are you nicer? Are you better able to motivate them?
I'm not nicer. Definitely not. I'm not. I'm a cruel being. But I
don't know. Physical therapists have like, they have to have some ability to hurt people.
Yeah. So I do understand pain. And I think that's probably the biggest thing is that when people come to me, especially when they've seen someone else, they're like, nobody's ever asked me that before. I'm like, what the fuck? Nobody's asked you if you're sleeping? What? How? And nobody actually asks them, okay, how does it feel Monday morning versus Friday at the end of the work week? How does it feel this versus that? Nobody asks them these questions. I don't know what they're doing. And these are things that I was taught, yes, but also as somebody that deals with chronic pain, I understand how things fluctuate and how it's hard to tell what's like, okay, I sprained my ankle or what's something else. So I think there's definitely a lot more comfort in people feeling like I'm not going to call them crazy, quote unquote. And that's literally the line I always hear. We don't like using that word, but I'm repeating to you what people are saying. They will literally tell me, oh my gosh, I thought I was crazy because I told somebody else that and they didn't understand. No. And even the words of what pain means, because pain is it's just fucking weird, man. You can, I could tell you my knee hurts and I tell you that it feels like pins and needles, feels like being stabbed, feels like it's throbbing, feels like somebody's squeezing it. There's so many different words for it. And to me, those all make sense. But for a lot of people, they'll tell someone that, like, oh, it just feels like my hand's asleep and I don't know why. I'm like, oh, man, you probably got carpal tunnel. Let's check this out. Like, just clicks. It makes sense to me. But unfortunately, that's not the experience for a lot of people. And then there are also people that seek me out because they are also chronic illness havers and they're just tired of explaining themselves.
Oh, God. Yeah. That one.
Yeah. So we don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. I don't care. I don't care what you have. Be brilliant. I don't care what you did, where you been. Just tell me what's wrong. We'll figure it out. That's it.
Yeah. It's almost like for like going to a male gynecologist, like, I cannot explain this to you. Like, I'm sorry, dude, no, can't. Or like going to a therapist and like trying to like get through like, 40 something years of BS. And like, it's so much easier if you can just go and sit down with someone and they're like, okay, so you get this? Oh, good. We can just move from here.
Yeah. Let's get to the meat of it. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's definitely a different experience. And it's just an interesting world that we live in. That's for
that's
adults,
a
though.
Fascinating way to put 2020.
Yeah, that's for adults. Kids, I don't know how my perspective changes for kids, because kids don't give a shit. They're just having fun.
Is that how you approach physical therapy with kids, is to make it fun?
50-50, yes. You find out what they like and you use it against them.
How do you do that? Please teach me your ways.
Well, I mean, it depends on the ages of kids. So if you have kids that love stickers, you tell them, hey, we're going to do 5 minutes of bridges. I'll get you some stickers. And they'll be like, all right, sure. Or you find some toy that a kid likes and they're trying to learn how to walk. You're like, oh my gosh, you want this toy? And you throw it across the room and then, all right, go get it.
I'm all for fetch. My father's like disabled and we've been using like coffee ice cream as a way to get him to move. Like,
yeah, that's the thing. You find the one thing that motivates him and you just, I'm going to use this. So I don't know how my lived experience affects that. I will say that for sure, when it comes to the little black and brown kids, that I have that perspective with them and the parents. So not necessarily how I treat the kids. It doesn't change for them. They're just kids. But for the parents, it definitely makes a huge difference because they see me and they're just like, oh, all right, it's a black lady. She gets me. God damn, I don't have to like pretend I'm not ghetto or something or try to impress her. I'm just here. All right, so here's my kid, and just it's another example of just cutting through the shit, right?
Yeah. I mean, you have things that I cannot even begin to imagine or understand. And like, you would have to sit and explain that to me. And that would be one more spoon or 20 more spoons that you would have to expend to explain to me what's going on and all the layers.
Yeah. So I think that's probably when it comes to treating kids, it's just leveling with them as a Black health professional when they're not used to seeing them. And a lot of these parents, a lot of times too, are just angry. And it's the same anger that we have for ourselves when we're just getting shit on. It's the same thing for them and their kids. So a lot of times I'll speak to them and they're just like ready to be on the defensive. And I'm like, whoa, listen, everything sucks and I'm on your side.
How much do we all need to hear that?
Yeah.
Like, everything sucks. I got it sucks. And I'm here for you.
Yeah. And that's not an experience a lot of people have with their health professionals, which is fucking sad, really.
I viscerally feel that.
Yeah.
Do you ever have to like bridge the gap between children and parents to explain chronic pain from children to parents?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of things to explain and a lot of things to point out. Especially when, so, you know, as it can relate to me, if somebody sees me and they think I'm fine, right? And I have to explain to them, like, well, I have this problem, I have that, I have this, I have that. You don't see it, you don't understand it, but this is how it works. Sometimes I run into the same problem with the kids because some of them walk and talk and they play. But then I'll tell the parents, okay, well, when he gets on a tricycle, do you see how he keeps falling off to the left? Like, that's not normal. Or do you see how he does everything so fast? Because if he does it slow, he's actually not strong enough to do it. Then they're like, oh, okay, yeah, all right, I get it now. So there's definitely a lot of breaking down little things. Because when it comes to kids, most parents are worried about the big three things, right? I want my kid to eat well, I want them to talk, I want them to walk. And that's like usually the focus. So once you get those things, it's not always easy for them to understand what it is that you're doing or why you're doing it.
How do
Not
you explain
always.
that to them? Like, how do you get them to understand that there's more?
So usually you just go by ages of what a kid should be able to do. So for you and me, I might rate, can you get up from a chair without using your hands, right? Like, can you take a bath? Can you get up from the bathtub without screaming for 10 hours, right? That'd be your rating for us. That'd be our thing. Can I walk to the mailbox without falling and tripping over my ankle? For a kid, it'd be like, okay, what is he, 3? All right, can he pick up a toy without falling? Can he hop? When he goes upstairs, does he use the handrail? You know, there's definitely things that you can point out in everyday life that makes sense without getting technical.
I hear that, but no, I would
Yeah.
pass almost none of those.
Yeah, no, you're at 10 out of 10 do not recommend.
Yeah, no, I would love to. That segues very nicely into disabled girls who lift community, because that's something that I viscerally miss, was lifting
Yeah.
weights.
Yeah. And that's the thing that I wish, I think we said this before we started recording, that you do have a physical therapist, but you haven't been able to go. But I wish that was something that was more integrated in the care. Like, if you have a chronic illness and you're going to anybody for pain, it should be a standard. You know, instead of just
Yes.
saying drink water, it should say, okay, have you seen a physical therapist? All right, here's a script.
For Ehlers-Danlos, I think that's pretty much my last line of defense is my physical. I do get to see my physical therapist. They're just always like on the verge of like, do we shut down? Do we not shut down
Oh,
right now?
okay.
So like, because I don't go in for exercises, I go in for relocation. So my physical therapist is the only person who can relocate my joints without causing soft tissue damage. So if I can't relocate something at home, which there's like 3 joints I can't, I have to go in once a week to have them relocated so we can reestablish blood flow, which we're in a big fight with the insurance company, because the insurance company's like, nope, we shouldn't cover that. That's not how you use physical therapy. You use physical therapy to get better.
Yeah.
You're not getting better. We're not paying for it. We will pay for
Yeah.
your amputation, though, they told me, since blood flow keeps getting cut off. They're like, we can amputate, no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all.
Yeah, welcome to the United States health care, but yeah,
pretty much. Yeah.
But you're right that physical therapy should be like the number one first thing that we work with.
Yeah, because I can understand when I'm ready to start lifting again, because we are like a hot mess, right? Our joints don't go where they're supposed to go. We're not set up for success whatsoever. So just walk into a gym and be like, I'm gonna give it a shot. Terrible idea.
Yes,
Terrible.
I found that out. Yes.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, when I was in college, I loved weightlifting. This was the best. I'll start really low. It wasn't cute.
Terrible idea. No.
Yes, I agree.
Start with the foundation. Can you get on the ground and just do some bridges, you know, like figure out how to core, do some dead bugs, even know where you are. Can you stand on a foot? Like, you know, basic. And those are all things, I mean, at least a good PT. And not to say it's easy. It's not easy to find one that works and understands what you want. It's still work for that.
This is where inspiration porn comes up and bites us in the ass every time. Is like, I see all these pictures of people in wheelchairs that are like, I am able to lift my own body weight at the gym. And it's like, yeah, they had a spinal injury. Their arms work. Like, yeah. I don't have anything that I can work with. So I want to be like that cool, inspiring person who goes to the gym, even though I'm disabled in a wheelchair. And it didn't go that way.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. And then it's tough too, because sometimes it's not even them per se. It could also be who they're seeing, because there are people that are internalize that as well. Like, I should be like that person. I should be, I'm paralyzed from the waist down, but this person walks every day in a treadmill and I should do that too. So there are people that are doing that also from there, and that's a lot of who they're interacting with. Or the extreme opposite of the person who's just totally helpless and just wants a massage. So when they're going in between those two extremes, you come in the middle like, hey, I just want to live. They're like, how?
I mean, I found that ableism is almost more extreme with like the chronic illness community, even than like,
sure.
at least my like temporarily abled friends are trying to learn it. But like, I've definitely run into a lot more ableism, just in myself and like others in the disability community. That's like, oh wow, that is like really ingrained.
Oh yeah, big time. The idea of resting and taking care of yourself. What? No.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
I'm
like this, I
lazy.
have to
I'm a
sing for my
burden.
supper. Like
Yeah.
I have to earn my space every moment of the day, and it's really tiring.
Yeah, it's a lot. So there's definitely people that I work with, and they'll say things like that, and I'll tell them, hey, like, calm down, because the rest is just as important as the work. You're not a terrible person. It's okay. But it is very internalized. It's not easy to get through, or even to recognize that that's what you're doing. And you might do it by going to, like I said, those two extremes. You might do it by saying like, I'm terrible, I suck, I'll never do anything again. Or you go to the other extreme where you shoot for some absolutely immeasurable goal, because to you that's like the standard transformation from disability to normal. So we have to find that middle ground. Like, we just want to live, that's it. And
How do you find your middle ground?
Well, number one was, like I said earlier, letting go of the idea that someone was going to find a cut and dry answer for me. Nobody's going to find it. I have to figure it out. And I won't find the answer either, but at least I got the best shot for myself. It's fine. I'll figure something out. That's probably the biggest thing. And also understanding that the rest is just as important as the work. It really is. So I don't train like I used to. I don't work the way I used to. Nothing at all is the same, because every time I plan my day, I'm thinking about how much time am I resting? Because if I'm not, then the work is useless.
That should be underlined somewhere. Like, if we don't rest, the work that we're doing is useless, because it's not going to be what it should be.
Yeah, it's going to be sloppy. It's going to be all over the place, or it's going to be amazing, right? Maybe I'll have a week and work so hard and do so great, and then I'll have 2 weeks of feeling like shit. So it became useless anyway.
That one.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I just went through that cycle. Thank you. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me about Disabled Girls Who Lift?
Yeah, for sure. So, in the beginning of my whole thing, like I mentioned, I was fine. 2015, then I was the start of the not fine. So I didn't even feel comfortable. I didn't know what to call myself or what was going on. I was still clinging on something curable, just clinging on like, oh, I'll be fine. I'll be okay. And, me, the young physical therapist, all I have in my mind are the people I see with MS that wear a brace or the spinal cord injury. So I'm like, oh, I can't be like that. I won't be like that. There's the internalized ableism right there.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do that. So just hanging on to that, and finally just somehow I'm like, I don't know, scrolling through Instagram, and I see Mary Beth, who was born without, she's missing a hand. And she used to deadlift with only one hand, because there's different federations. You can compete in different like competitions. The one she started with wouldn't allow her to use any adaptive products. So she was doing one-arm deadlifts. And I'm just scrolling on my Instagram, and I see this girl, and I'm just like, oh, who is this? And not even like inspiration porn, like, oh my gosh, she's so amazing. Like, no, I was like, who is this? I'm sending her a message. So I sent her a message, and then I ended up talking to her randomly about what I was going through and asking her, like, because she's the picture of what's disabled, right? You can see it.
Mm.
And I think that was my problem, is that I never really went through what it meant to be disabled without seeing it. And so I was like, can I even call myself that? Am I disabled? She's just like, yeah, why are you asking me for permission? Like,
I'm sorry for laughing. It's just it's
no,
such
it's
a
so
weird
real.
thing. It's like there's no line, and it's like
Yeah.
you feel like there should be a line. Like there should be like somebody tells you it's time for a wheelchair, it's time for a cane. You are disabled, and there's no one who does that. You have to be the one to say it. It's like that's a really big burden.
It's huge. And so I went through that with her, and then she also went through that with Chloe. And so she kind of brought us all together, and we just would chat every once in a while. And finally I was like, you know what, guys, because she had a page up, she just reposted. And I was like, you know what, guys, let's do a podcast, because we always talk some good shit. Let's record it. And
That's
so
about right.
that's basically how we started. And it's been pretty amazing, because the responses that we've gotten are people like the story that I shared, literally people messaging us. I asked myself the same question. I had no idea there's people out here like me, like the same thing. And we're not restricted to just talking about my issues or what it's like to have a limb difference. We talk to people with all different sorts of disabilities and all different backgrounds and states, and some from the UK and all over the place. So the lived experiences are pretty varied, but they're all very relatable still, because we all have the common thread of like, what the fuck are we doing?
Yes, in every aspect, but yes.
And we all just want to lift, and we have that kind of common thread to hold on to and talk about, just what we're doing through fitness. But I mean, big picture, it's really a big conversation about disability and ableism in all ways.
I was noticing that. I was listening to the episode you had with Crescenda. Oh gosh, I interviewed her too, and my brain is on stop. She's fascinating.
Yes.
But you guys were talking a lot about ableism and the strongman competitions and the issues you guys have all had in trying to deal with the rules.
Yeah, it's a mess. So that was a big topic with Crescenda, and I think one of our really super episodes, like 2 or 3, when 3 of us were on there. So Crescenda has very, very similar to you. When she's overhead, like, she's liable to dislocate her shoulder. And then for strongman, the way it works is they go by weight class. So somebody of her weight is assumed to be like absolutely just ridiculously strong. Keep in mind, strongman is not a drug tested sport whatsoever. So imagine that other people her weight, natural or not, are usually way stronger. They don't have to worry about any of that stuff. And then she shows up and is like, do you guys have something else for me? And they're like, no. That's basically her experience. And then the Mary Beth and Chloe experience is that they need to use hooks or straps or something to make up that limb difference they have, but otherwise they're doing the same squatting, they're doing the same benching, they're doing the same deadlifting. But for whatever reason, certain federations are like, that's cheating. You're not allowed to do that. You have an unfair advantage. Just makes no sense.
Fascinating, the word advantage used in that way.
Yeah. Mary Beth was actually told that her hook is a danger to the judges and the people on the platform. Like, she's Captain Hook.
I mean, if she gets mad, I guess. Like, if she's just...
it makes no sense. And it's not that these things are like infallible. Like, they can use a hook and it can slip. Chloe can use a strap, it could fall off still. Like, it's not a given. She still has another regular situation of fingers to a bar on the other hand, so where's the advantage? And what happens often when you challenge these people, well, it could go, I'm not going to lump everybody, it could go 2 ways. One, all right, let's figure something out. Maybe you're lucky. Or usually, why don't you just go find somewhere else? and they'll tell you go to Special Olympics, which makes no sense if you know what that is. Or they
Which
tell you
there's
to
a
go
lot
to
of good there,
Paralympics.
but it doesn't fit for everyone.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. You can't just tell somebody, like, what are you talking about? So yeah, a lot of people just get pushed to the side. Oh, go Paralympics or go to Special Olympics or run your own show.
Oh, that sounds easy. Why
Yeah,
not?
why not? Sounds super easy. Definitely can do that. So we get stuck in a lot of these places. I'm there are a few pockets specific to the strongman thing of people who are putting on their own shows that are adaptive, but again, those are just few pockets. Like the one guy that does it is this guy named Chris Vaccio, I think is his last name, and his things are usually in Ohio. So if you're not in Ohio, what are you gonna do?
I can't even imagine.
Yeah, so it stinks. It stinks because you can find something that makes you like something that gives you so much pure joy, and you want to be a part of the community of other people that find pure joy in it, and you show up and you're like, yeah, and they're like, no. Like,
Yeah.
it's such a killjoy. It's just absolute shit. And it's really not that hard to make things accessible, adaptive. Like, you don't have to be putting on some grand production to allow other people to experience the community. It doesn't make any sense at all.
No, and that goes over towards so many things like adaptability at the workplace when we live in the United States and our health insurance gets tied to our work. But if we
Yeah.
can't work at a corporation for 40 hours a week, we don't get that, but then they don't make it accessible. Or what I wanted to slide into was activism, because that's a subject near and dear to my heart and to yours. And there's so much ableism in activism. I wanted to see what your viewpoints were on that, from marching to all the energy that needs to be expended to.
Yeah. And the other part of that too is before I totally get away and answer your question, is like the health insurance thing. Luckily for me, I'm married to someone that has good health insurance.
Me too. I wouldn't have survived without it, especially before the ACA.
Because
could not get insurance before the ACA.
Before that I had no insurance. ACA, I had the shit $500 a month like discount club. It's basically like the Sam's Club Costco of health insurance. That's what I selected because I've had to pay 40% of everything all the time.
Yeah.
Made no damn sense.
Sorry, for those who are in another country listening to this, let me just explain really fast what we're just talking about. I promise I won't go into a soapbox like I usually do. What we're talking about is pre-existing conditions. So before the American Care Act, which was put in through the Obama administration, there's a thing called pre-existing conditions, which could range literally from having acne to being in a physically abusive relationship, to having had surgery, having had cancer, or having fibromyalgia. Anything that you've had before the policy would mean that you would not be given a new policy. Or it could mean that if you were diagnosed retroactively, they could deny and bill you all of the things that you had used before or after that. So it's a really dangerous thing. I was one of the people who went bankrupt. Lots of people went bankrupt because of this. And the American Care Act came in, and that put a stop to that, creating pre-existing conditions. That is what we were talking about. That it's the United States. I know, crazy. We can discuss this in another episode. I just wanted to give a quick overview of what we're talking about, because before this, you had to get married to, or you had to have
to have a job. Yep. Yeah. And I did not have that sort of job. And believe it or not, as apparently I talked to physical therapists from other states and areas, it's not the same. But for Florida, a lot of the jobs are not going to give you the benefits. They're going to pay you as a contractor.
Yeah, or they'll just hire you to 39 hours because it's 40 hours to get the insurance. Exactly. So they'll hire you to 39.5 hours.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, I was a long-term substitute teacher and could not get health insurance. Like doing like the crazy job, and I still could not get insurance. So I'd be in there for like there'd be a teacher who had my exact condition, but she was a teacher and she had a union, so she'd be off work. I'd have the same exact condition. I'd be there like whimpering through like the desks, just holding on to desks, trying to get to a student. Yeah, we treat our teachers so bad here. It's insane.
Don't make no sense. And then you have people, which I recently learned, I didn't even know this. I mean, most of what I know now, nobody teaches, right? But anyways, people that are on Medicaid that don't marry their partners, because then the income will be considered and they can't get that insurance anymore. I was like, what?
Yeah, you
that's
can't make more
real.
than $2,000 a month.
Ridiculous.
Otherwise, it all goes away. And if you marry, so if you have like, imagine the condition, but I know people who have mental health disorders and they can't marry their partners because their medication goes away.
Yep, it's absolutely insane. But so yeah, there's no
Twitch.
accessibility. No accessibility when it comes to the workplace, when it comes to our healthcare, absolute shit. So of course that extends to everything, including activism. So, you know, the funny thing about COVID, and I've seen this thread of thought, it's not my original thought, but, you know, it comes up and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. The funny thing about COVID is that it's bringing up a new way for a lot of people to communicate, except for disabled people. Like we've been online already, you know?
Yeah.
We've been on Twitter. We've had our hashtags. We've had our like weekly chats, you know, like I do Spoonie Chat every Wednesday at 8. Like we've had our thing.
That's how we met them.
So, you know, we've been organizing online already because we have to. So it's not new to us. So a lot of people, you know, doing video things or scheduling things through emails and whatever is like foreign and new and strange, but we've been here already. So, and when it comes to activism, that's kind of where I'm continuing with that personally, because I'm not going outside and getting COVID in these streets. So so that's my activism, is, you know, doing these podcasts or doing whatever information, education I could share, or just wealth distribution. When I do have extra money, I'm donating to mutual funds and just sharing, signing petitions, all of that kind of stuff you can do without leaving your house. I mean, if you do want to be that person that is out on those streets, it's not going to be accessible.
No, and it's so dangerous with what's going on, like here in Oakland with police brutality. And like, I'm watching this going, even just getting handcuffed, I would pop out both shoulders. And like,
yeah.
It's kind of crazy to watch what happened in Portland, and kind of crazy. It's absolutely fucking insane. I'm sorry, I should not minimize the absolute bullshit we are dealing with right now. But even like in 2016, when the Cheeto elect was elected, all of my friends were going, and they were going to go protest. You remember, like right when he got elected, there was like every weekend it was like protests, and I was like, God, I want to go. And so I'd call the person who was doing the protest. I'd be like, so where's your parking for disability? Like, I think there's one parking spot right by the Golden Gate Bridge. I'm like, that's not how do I even know that spot would be available when I get there?
It's
like
not even a thought. It's not
and
even
like,
so yeah,
like how do you have any bus systems from like other parking lots to get disabled people to the protest? Or how are you protecting wheelchairs in a massive group of people? Is there any thought to that? Is there any thought to like how, you know, it was really no thought. So my friend literally made a sign that had like a little stick figure of me in a wheelchair saying I'm marching for her. It's like, I love you. It's awesome. And then the women's march had a giant screen that put up the names of everyone who physically couldn't be there to march. I mean, it was an imperfect solution, but it was at least something.
At least something. So it's like somebody's acknowledging that you exist and want to be a part of it, right? Somebody's like, oh yeah, you over there, gotcha.
The one in bed.
Somebody, jeez. Yeah,
there.
Yeah, we're here. There's a lot you can do from the couch.
There's, but it's so insulting when you're dealing with trolls, and it's like the keyboard warrior is like such an insult, and it's like, but that's all I got. Like,
that comes off the cuff real easy. Keyboard warrior. I've heard that a lot for sure.
I've heard a lot. I've been called Karen more times than I can count, which I'm like, but I want to wear a mask. I want you to wear a mask, but I want equality. But it's now the word for bitch. I think it's I've run out of ways to insult you that you find insulting. I'm gonna try this new one.
I've seen this newfangled term online.
That's
I'm gonna use
it. Okay, I'll take it. That's fine.
That doesn't even make sense. It's very funny because I don't personally get trolled often, right? So when I do, it's usually a white dude,
Funny how that happens.
If and when I do, it's usually a white dude. But in general, usually these people will post about me, but not actually speak to me.
Interesting.
Is how that usually works out. So I don't know what
how do you
that's
deal
about.
with that?
Oh, screenshot and reshare it. I don't give a shit.
Fair play.
Yeah, that's usually what I do. But and maybe that's why I don't get. I don't know. I don't have the answers really, but I don't deal with that often. So I am pretty lucky in that sense. Who knows? Things could always change, right? But people like Crescenda definitely deal with a lot, and she talks about that a lot.
Yeah. I noticed that when
So
I republished one of her episodes, someone had some stuff to say about her. I was like, I literally can't find a legitimate source that is agreeing with you, so please don't do that. Like, give me the legitimate source and I'll take a look at it. But no, I don't do hearsay.
Yeah, somebody found one of our disabled girls who lift. We had like a live YouTube. I was like, dang, I wonder how long it's going to take for Crescenda's trolls to find us. Because she's been on like, a couple
5, 4, 3, 2, trolls.
Yeah, they found our YouTube thing and commented on it. I was like, oh, there you are. I was wondering where you guys were.
Seem sleepy today.
Yeah, you guys tired?
Too many bridges to hide under? What?
So I don't know. It might depend on the community that you're a part of, because I know she is a lot big time on Reddit and other like internet-y things that I
will not go near.
Do. So I don't know if it's where you pick up the trolls or what. I have no idea.
Twitter is where I find almost all my trolls.
Twitter's your trolls?
Facebook, I get a lot on Facebook. And then the review section. Like, I have this pathological need to be liked. It's something I work on. It's an issue. I have such a hard time when someone doesn't like me. It's a really hard thing to deal.
No,
and this has been the best thing emotionally for me to have happened. I mean, please don't troll me. I have 3 feelings left. Please don't hurt them. There's only 3. I have teenagers. I really had to get over this. But it was really hard to hear people like talking about me in ways. So I was like, I can't even control that. Like, your voice is annoying. Your laugh is the worst. I literally want to kill myself when you laugh. Like,
wow.
Your topics are so important and you're the wrong person to do this. And it was like,
daggers.
Well, I'm the only person who's doing this right exactly that's happening. So like I literally reached out to that person because they were so vitriol, and I reached out to them and I was like, hey, you seem to hate me and that's cool. You should probably start your own podcast, because they were mad at me. I was too liberal. Like, I'm conservative. You're just assuming that everyone's liberal. I'm like, I assume nothing. Believe me. I've got teenagers. I don't assume anything. But I was like, hey, you're right. There's not a lot of your voice out there. Do you want to start a podcast? I will actually help you. Would you like me to help you? I will actually like teach you what you need to do. Anything I can help you with. If you want your voice out there, I will do what I can to help you. I got back the most evil letter I've ever read. Oh, you Lord. It was like basically, you bitch. How dare you? You should know I don't have the energy for this. I'm like, dude, I can't even, I'm out. I tried. I was nice. I go with the idea, like, I mean, I believe that our religion is our actions. Yeah. So I'm going to always behave in a way that I'm going to be proud of, no matter what someone comes at me from. I fail at that every once in a while, but I really strongly believe that how I treat Siri is important. Like, and there she is. She's because you said it. Like, I believe that how I treat anything, anyone, I would not want to, like, I get upset about hurting spiders. Like, I feel like I should hold a code of conduct for myself, no matter what the other person is doing. Yeah. And Twitter is my proving ground.
Yeah, I get you there. I mean, I don't even have an opinion. I can't say anything. I have no relatable experience to that. That's deep. Jeez.
Oh, sorry.
That was straight to the heart. Like, I don't know. I can't help you with that. My trolling is usually very simple. It's usually someone who didn't want to be corrected by a Black woman at the base. Like, that's usually where my trolling's at. Like, I told somebody something, they took it the wrong way, and they, like, got offended on a tangent. And so for the most part, I can understand when speaking to a person is going to make a difference. That's like yes or no, respond or don't respond. Or sharing the interaction is going to make a difference for other people. And that's when I'm like, all right, respond or don't respond.
That can be really helpful. Like getting a script from someone is sometimes really helpful. Like I have brain fog, so sometimes dealing with someone who's like, defund the police, you must hate law and order. And it's like, oh, thank you, John Oliver. You had a really good episode on what defund the police actually meant. It was like, I watched a family member I love say that. I was like, that really actually almost viscerally hurt me when you said that. I really need you to watch this because I know you're compassionate. So could you please watch this? And then we can have a discussion about that. Like,
yeah,
it can be helpful that for someone to like go, hey, this was my interaction. This is how I dealt with it. This is ways to handle like people's quote unquote logic on things sometimes.
Yeah, because sometimes it's not even always trolling. Sometimes like they actually mean it. Like they're not just because usually it'll be, you know, if there's always like that random like MAGA 246 and like the avatar is like an American eagle. Like that's not a real person. Fuck that guy. Don't respond to those people. Those people don't mean shit to shit. Don't respond to those. But yeah, when it's the family members or it's like the Instagram influencer or whatever, like that's when you're like, maybe I will. Maybe I'll share this. Maybe I'll take this, reframe it, so people can understand that this was dumb. So that's usually where I'll respond and how I decide what to respond with. And we talked about this on one of our other episodes. There's a difference between calling somebody in and calling somebody out, right? So like what you did,
I like that.
Yeah, what you did with your family members, you called them in. You're like, hey, listen, that was whatever. Here's what I'd like for us to do. And, you know, that's great. And that's when you realize person to person, you can make a difference. Sometimes you really can't. Sometimes just, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And that's when we switch to the call out. I'm going to post this. Everybody see how dumb this person was. You don't be dumb. Don't be this guy.
Like I will talk to anyone if they acknowledge someone's right to humanity and dignity.
Yeah.
The second that someone like exits out that discussion of humanity and dignity, I'm out. Like there's no reason to have the discussion. Like
and there's like, I don't know, man. It's like they hand out brochures or something. I don't know, because there's just certain words that everybody repeats. And like, aren't you tired of hearing this?
Ooh.
You know, like once somebody says, "What about black on black crime?" I'm like, never mind.
Yeah, done.
Have a nice day.
It's been lovely.
Yeah, once I hear, you know, there's these sound bites like that, that's like, all right, let's move on. It's time to go.
It's and then it's Mark Twain. You can't reason someone out of a position they didn't use reason to get themselves into.
Ooh, yes.
Like that's one of my favorite things. I just keep it's on repeat in my head just for my fucking sanity.
Yeah, I'm gonna store that one in.
Yeah. Like going back to John Oliver again, like I'm sorry to keep doing that, but like he's literally helped me so much with like scripts and even like issues that I wasn't aware of. I am embarrassed to say I was not aware of that even in modern day textbooks, how Black people and Black women's pain are treated even in medical textbooks today. I was not aware of that. And I am so embarrassed that I was not aware of that. And that was such an important topic to bring forward.
Yeah. Oh, so he did that? See, I didn't see that. I see his stuff when they pop up. But yeah, it's a hot mess. It's everywhere. So the people that are like racism isn't real, you're not even trying. Never mind.
Yeah. And then you just hope that eventually like it clicks in, like something will actually just click with them, that they'll be willing to open up or get past their own I think a lot of it is like fear of like, wait, I can't be a racist, I'm not a racist. How can you like, and once you can get past that fear of that, like, okay, let me take a look at what I've benefited from that I didn't earn.
And that can be anybody could get it. And I have that conversation with like my friends and family. Like I can get it too. I can get checked. Somebody call me in anytime, any place. Like everybody, if you benefit from this system, like you need to like reevaluate your life and your choices, the way you carry yourself. That's it for everyone, period. So
and privilege is a responsibility, and that responsibility of privilege is to go, I have this, how do I give this to others? Like how do I make sure?
And I think I agree with you. It's fear of oh, am I a bad person? And then there's also the point of like you basically have to like reparent yourself, right? Like you spent your whole childhood being told fucking lies. So for you to accept that those were all lies,
Yep.
it puts you on shaky ground. Like I can understand that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was raised at through the 80s. So it was, we are post-racial and you shouldn't see color. You don't see color, which like erases everyone's personal experience and traumas if you
Makes
are
no
erasing
sense.
color. But like you're raised from that from like the time you're like 5. And it's like,
Yeah.
I've got a lot to unlearn here. Like this is a lot to unpack.
It's a lot. It's a lot. You spend your entire adulthood like redoing childhood. It's a lot.
I mean, yes, in every way. And then when you become
Yeah.
a parent, you are definitely like,
Oh,
that's a whole nother
I've not
learning
added
world.
that. No, I'm not subscribing to that newsletter yet. My email box is full. Thank you.
I hear that.
Yeah.
I viscerally feel and hear that.
Yeah, I'm good for now. I'll let you know.
You know, I personally believe that is such a huge decision
man.
for individuals
It's a lot.
To make. That is a
Yeah.
purely individual choice that
It's a
that
lot.
should definitely be decided on thoughtfully and with care. And yeah,
It's a
no
lot.
one else should have a voice in that except the person.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what we'll do with trolls, but I think that's a good framework. They
That's a
didn't
good
get where
start,
they
yeah.
like with the Mark Twain quote, print that out, put it on the wall.
Tattoo it somewhere, yeah.
Yeah, just stick to that. I think that'll get us. That's the gold standard.
But we are like way past an hour, so I will just end this up on our 2 shows you mentioned that were like my favorites. So we're just gonna lightly hit on those. But you did mention a book I hadn't heard of, and I'm now blanking on that book name. It was something about the names of God. Did you want to talk about that for a sec, or did you want to just move over to Ozarks and Insecure? Because I will happily. I just finished Ozarks. Like 2 days ago, finished Ozarks.
Call God, I think. All the names.
It's in the show notes. So if you head over to show notes, I have everything, like literally everything linked up. You will find all of Marcia's, like, she has a great website that's like everything right there. So you just go right there. It's the first button. You'll find everything. And then down at the bottom, I have the books that that you had recommended and the TV shows. I was just super psyched to see Ozarks because I just finished season 3 and I no spoilers, but I've never felt so dark or depressed or so obsessed.
Yeah, the thing I like about Ozarks is the director or whatever person was, you know, they were like, oh, is there another season? He was like, yeah, maybe, you know, if the story goes, then we'll do it. Like, that's what I love. I can't stand the dragged out, like, what can we come up with? No.
Lost?
Yeah. Or like Handmaid's
Are you too young for Lost?
I was out. I didn't watch Lost. Can't relate. But
it was a really good 3 seasons, and then oh my god,
I know that happened with Game of Thrones, and to me it happened with Handmaid's Tale, because after a while, like, it didn't make sense. You guys made up a world, you're not even sticking to it. I'm out. I
won't watch it. If I want to watch that, I will watch Mike Pence speak. I can't. Too close.
Oh, that's bad.
Too fucking close. Or I'll listen to your governor talk.
Yeah,
like,
that's bad.
No,
don't even say the name. I don't even.
Sorry, but no, I couldn't do Handmaid's Tale. I was out. Like,
yeah, no. But Ozarks is pretty lit. I got through that pretty quick. I
wouldn't even let my husband watch it. I wanted to watch all. Like, I spent almost 48 hours straight watching that show. I was like, I'm not sharing this because if I have to wait for you to get off work, it's not. No, I can't. I have to just binge.
Yeah, we did good. We shared it. We did good. We forced each other, and that's the other reason that my binging goes so quickly, because if my husband's like, I'm ready to watch it, I'm like, oh shit, me too. Yeah. And he's just like, no, we're both here. Let's do it. Next thing you know, it's Monday. I don't know. Whoopsies.
Yeah, I hear that. Yeah, Insecure was another one I watched on my own because I could not stop watching it. Like 2 episodes in, like the first episode, I was kind of like, this is a little, I'm not in yet. And then by the 3rd episode, I'm like, I will watch everything she's ever done.
That's the only one we watched as it came out. Actually, we were like ready to go. But this season to me was so much more. I don't know. It was amazing. It was great. Visually, great story, full of drama. Still hilarious. Like, oh man, a masterpiece, honestly.
Genius. Like, in every way. Like, it was everything that Sex and the City wanted to actually be and could not get below a surface level. Like that there's
Yeah.
so much importance on friendship. Like that's what like all these girls and women's shows miss, is that
Yeah.
friendship
Is
can
the
be one of the most
friendship.
important loves you'll ever have. And like
Exactly.
it doesn't
Oh.
always have to be about romance. It can be like friendship can be just as dramatic, just as
Mhm.
toxic, just as beautiful, just as, you know.
Yeah, that's so true. And that's like another part of our relearning childhood. Like friendships are
Mm.
easy. Find the one you want to marry. Haha. Like no.
Or that, you know, like that thing that you're kind of taught when you're younger, that you'll have your super like emotional, like I went to see Naomi Wolf talk, who's like she was one of my favorite feminists, because it was
Hmm.
about like, hey, we have to work together in this world, so let's see how we can work together in this world. And she was talking about like everyone who was born with a uterus, close your eyes and think about that first like person you were jealous of, the first person that you shared everything with, the first person you had that super emotional connection with. And she's like, I'm going to guess it was someone else who had a uterus. Like, and then all of a sudden around 12 and 13, you're told to take all of those emotions and remove it from that person
Yeah.
and put it on someone who was born with testicles and a penis, who was not taught to have that kind of emotional care and openness as the person you were putting all this on before. So like, it was that idea of like, you drop your friendships for
Yeah.
romance, and
Yeah.
like,
That's exactly
that's,
it.
yeah.
That's exactly it. And I think that show did a great job. And it's funny because it's so easy to see like, feminine characters or whatever, women presenting whatever, what have you, and you're like, oh, it's just a show for chicks. Like, no, everybody enjoys it because we can all relate to relationships. And like, and in this one, there was also a lot about parents and children too.
Mm.
To me, I can't really remember the past season having as much. Obviously, the Molly story they followed up on from the past season, but I don't remember them doing much with Issa and her mom. And to me, that episode meant a lot too, because we don't really like we don't really get into that at all. That adult level of the relationship between parent and child is like,
That's a different thing. Like, it's such like rough waters to navigate. It's or at least it can be.
mm-hmm.
It was for my mom and I. Like, it took about 3 years of us almost not talking, and then 1 year of us sitting down and just committing to yelling, screaming, but we would not give up on each other. We just like literally made a pact that we were
Yeah,
going to get through all the toxic stuff, and we were going to make a promise that we were going to believe that the person had the best intentions. And this can only happen in non-toxic relationships. Do not do this if you're in
right.
a toxic relationship. But like we got to a point where we could trust each other enough to do that. We just committed, and for like 2 years was brutal. Like just
Yeah, I
getting
hear that.
all
It
of the
sounds like a
fear
lot.
and the ick out, like just opened up the wound and like just clean it out. And it was hard, but yeah, I feel like it was worth it for my situation personally. But like in any like long-term situation where you're with someone who's known you since childhood, like that's a lot of stuff, like being able to divorce who you were to who you're trying to be.
Yeah, yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's ugh. And it's funny because you can see bits of that in every character and everything that they go
Mm.
through. I mean, everybody, always loves to pick sides when it comes to shows, but honestly, that you have a little bit of every character. Like, it. Come on.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
so I think that's what was so powerful to me, is that the picture of relationships in that season was like, it was up there. I felt like season 3 had a point, but it didn't really like drive it home as much as this one did. And I don't know what they actually changed with it, but it was amazing. It was great.
I just feel lucky enough that I didn't find it until the end of the season. So I was able to just watch
Good. Yeah, you
season
didn't have
one
to wait.
through the end. I had nothing to wait for. I just
Yeah.
watched. Yeah, that was pretty much the reason I kept HBO as long as I did, was to finish that one. And now we got it back because my husband's a Cthulhu freak, so we're going to be watching Lovecraft Country, which I'm really excited about. It's
Oh
Jordan Peele's
yeah, we're gonna watch
project.
that. Oh yeah, I'm watching
Yeah.
that big time. I love me some
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Peele. I love me some
Oh
J.J.
my God.
Abrams.
And
The
not into J.J. Abrams, but Jordan Peele, yes.
the book my husband read, so he's ready to go. So yeah, we're in there. I gotta check actually if our subscription is ready.
Yeah, you guys, it's this weekend. My husband does a Call of Cthulhu role-playing game online. He's on a YouTube channel where they like dress up and they do the whole Call of Cthulhu
sweet.
thing. So we are very, very interested in this show coming
man.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize they had a whole thing. Like, oh man.
Yeah, us nerds.
I just
got
know like the synopsis. That's all I got.
Honestly, I don't like Lovecraft at all. Like, I cannot read his writing. He was desperately racist and misogynistic, and like his writing I find incredibly dry and offensive. So I like a hot take there. I really don't like Lovecraft, but I do love the world that sprung up around it. Like the people who took that world and ran with it. I find their stuff fascinating. Like Neil Gaiman wrote a whole bunch of like Lovecraft stuff into his Sandman, and like
that's where my husband comes in. That he likes the Neil Gaiman American Gods and all those things. He's been trying to get me to read it. I haven't read it. I watched some of the show though. I was into it. So
well, I mean, Shadow is a reason to watch that show.
Yeah, that show was great.
That's a really good show, and the introduction to Anansi and the Anubis brothers. It was just so amazing.
I think the idea of how he creates that world and the gods and how there's so many versions of them, like it's pretty cool.
I mean, the whole thing sprung up around the question of what happens to gods when people stop believing in them.
Yeah.
And it's just a fascinating question. And he like builds this entire world around that question. I'm like, God, this is what I love about Neil Gaiman.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting concept, because you'll see people talk about these things in general, and then usually whoever's on the other end's like, no, you know, like you'll see like, oh, Jesus wasn't born in December was really this pagan holiday, and then, you know, Christians be like, oh no, Jesus got over that. Like,
what, Easter was Astarte? What? No, goddess that we would hunt eggs for, and her animal was a bunny.
Interesting, a concept. So
years of Catholic school, parochial school.
I was in the Sunday school. I did all my rites also. So
I got kicked out of Sunday school. I wasn't allowed back in until high school.
No, I was a good little Catholic girl for the most part.
Oh,
then I just stopped going. So who won there?
Oh man, that's a topic. I just talked to autoimmune Abby, and she is fascinating, but she came from a very, very intensely fundamentalist background. And she had this incredible discussion about how the Gospels and how like the idea of chronic illness comes from demons. And you have to and like pray. And how just how that created this lack of support in her community and her church, and and how it was just so toxic for her, because like the idea that you're not praying hard enough, or literally you have evil inside of you that's making you sick, and how traumatic that can be.
Family's fault, like it's somebody's fault, and you have to cleanse it. Like, excuse me.
And there's, you know, and the other side of that is it's not just a Christian thing. Like there's this huge wellness industry that is all about that. Right? I'm so excited for the Netflix documentary on Wednesday on the wellness industry, because it's so about this. Like, I'm gonna I can't wait, because I have so many friends in this like wellness, sound bath, healing, crystals, and you know, Mazel Tov, blessed be, whatever you want to do that makes you feel better. That's great. But if you are then looking at someone going, you're not pure enough, you're not thinking pure good thoughts, it's your thought process. If you're not doing this $500 thing a month, you're not trying to get better. Like all that gets really toxic and crunchy, and like I just viscerally run away from that stuff. I'm like,
and I'm gonna be honest, for me that applies to the diet people too. So when the people are like, oh my gosh, you didn't try the autoimmune protocol, and I'm like, do you think I have the funds or the energy for this? Like, I'm trying to pay some bills. I can't worry about whether or not I eat beans. That's how I fucking grew up. I like, my family's from Haiti, okay? Rice and beans. You want me to change my entire culture for this one diet? Calm down.
If the words, if you just come out of someone's mouth, I can pretty much guarantee that that is not someone who's going to be in my life for long.
Yeah.
Like I have not.
Have you just tried it though? Did you just try it once just to
Yoga?
see?
Did you try yoga?
Just
You know,
to
I know your
see?
joints jump, like you
Just
point
to
at something and
see?
dislocate your wrist. But have you tried yoga?
Have you tried it just to see?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
or have you tried getting rid of sourdough bread and chocolate and wine? It's like, I like to keep my children alive and my husband. I need wine. I need sourdough. That keeps everyone happy.
Just so much, big yikes. Just so much. The yoga one now, I know we're gonna talk forever. But
I'm
the
sorry,
yoga
I
one,
totally kidnapped you.
no, I'm
I
I'm
do
gonna keep
this.
going too. The yoga one now means so much more to me though, because well, I've always dabbled in and out of yoga the same way that I've lifted weights this whole time. I've done yoga, but I actually got certified. I did teacher training because of COVID. There's like some cheaper ones that are fully online. So I'm like, you know what? Let's see. And learning the full background of what yoga is and how it's supposed to work, to me, when I see that now, it's just like, you don't even know what you're talking about. Because yoga is like literally the way of life, and there's things that you can do that are yoga. Breathing is yoga. Not treating people like shit is yoga. Like so when people say it to me, like I have this whole extra perspective of like, you are an absolute idiot.
I feel that. Like I had friends who well, it's not really my story to tell, but I'll just generalize it with like they got sick because of some toxic things in their body, and the people around them, like 86, just went out because they're like, you're toxic. You're not, you're thinking negative thoughts, you're creating this negativity around you.
Gosh.
And so I can't be around that. And I was like, oh man, this is so brutal. Or watching friends who are dealing with pregnancy, where it's like, I can't think any bad, scary thoughts because I'll hurt my baby. It's like, your hormones are literally trying to make you afraid. Like that's what happens when you get pregnant, is your body's like, you should be scared of everything.
Yeah.
Just to make sure you're safe. Like you can't fight that biology, so don't torture yourself. Like mental health, take a bath, be calm, like do what you can do, but don't like make someone feel bad for how they're like, it's hard to watch my friends go through this. It is. And then it's really hard when they try to pull me in. That's when I'm like, okay, I don't think we can really be around each other right now.
And I've seen the perfect term for it. The term for it is toxic positivity. I've seen that pop up.
It's a good term.
It's exactly what it is. It's the same. Brutal. It's the same thing as saying I don't see color. All you did was just like erased it. Don't see it. Pull the curtains. Like you didn't.
What you're dealing with makes me uncomfortable, so I'm going to praise you just enough to like just get right over anything you're dealing with. So you're going to be too embarrassed to tell me what's really happening. Like,
exactly. And
okay.
Ugh, man. Yeah, we could keep going forever.
We could, and I'm going to have to stop because I am like way past my pain meds and I'm starting to whimper. But I would literally talk to you for the rest of the day.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you everyone so much for joining us this week. Everything we talked about, I have linked up in the show notes. So if you could just head over to show notes, it's all right there from the very top. I highly, highly recommend, even if you are not lifting weights, please listen to Marcia's podcast. It was so much fun. I don't lift weights. I still was like obsessed and listening. It was a great podcast. Please visit all of her sites. They're really awesome, and there's some good swag there. I'm definitely gonna be purchasing some things. I found some stickers I definitely want. So for this week, and by the way, we are now a podcast network. That's been very exciting. So please take a listen to Eva's podcast. Human Care, Jason's is Discomfort Zone. We have Dr. Lee Phillips coming on in September with chronic illness and sex. So yay, chronic illness, disability, and sex. That's gonna be an awesome podcast. And I believe Tinu is coming on pretty soon with her podcast, is yet unnamed. So if you can help Tinu find a name for her podcast, that'd be fantastic. Yes, I love Tinu so much. Talk about another person. Like we have interviewed probably about 8 times and there's only 2 or 3 of them up because we just talk for 4 hours. It's a problem, but I love her so much. So for this week, be kind, be gentle. It's never been more important. Be a badass in whatever way that looks like to you. Yes. And if you can, share the videos and subscribe. And if you would like to support us, head over to our Patreon. What we would like to do with that money is to get better transcription services. We know that's a problem. We would like to fix it. Have a great week, everyone.